In the heart of a forgotten desert, buried under centuries of shifting sands, lies a city that shouldn't exist. A place whispered about in ancient scrolls, yet erased from every map. No historian can explain who built it, or why it was abandoned overnight. Some say it holds the key to a lost civilization. Others believe it hides something far more dangerous. Tonight, we follow the trail into the shadows, and uncover the chilling secrets of the most mysterious lost city ever found. The Discovery. Opening fade in, soft wind, faint echoes of ancient whispers in the background. Have you ever heard of a city, so old, so shrouded in secrecy, that even time itself seems to have forgotten it? A place erased from maps, erased from history, and perhaps, erased for a reason. Tonight, we journey deep into the heart of one of the strangest and most baffling archaeological discoveries of our time, a lost city that should not exist. The story begins in a remote stretch of desert, somewhere between the shifting sands of North Africa and the jagged cliffs of the Middle East. For decades, explorers spoke of strange rock formations jutting out from the dunes, shapes too perfect, too symmetrical, to be natural. Most dismissed these claims as mirages, desert illusions brought on by heat and thirst. But then, something happened that no one could ignore. In 1997, a satellite imaging team scanning for ancient riverbeds stumbled upon a strange pattern, massive rectangular outlines buried beneath the sand. The shapes were too precise to be geological. They looked built. At first, scientists thought they might be the remains of an old fortress or an abandoned caravan station. But the scale was enormous, far bigger than any known settlement in the area. A small excavation team was dispatched. What they found would change the way we think about human history. Beneath just a few meters of sand lay perfectly cut stone blocks, some weighing over 50 tons. The architecture was unlike anything seen before, a blend of styles from civilizations separated by thousands of miles and centuries. Walls carved with symbols no one could read. Statues with faces neither entirely human, nor entirely animal. Word spread quickly, and soon, the site became a controlled dig under strict government supervision. Archaeologists worked under intense secrecy, and local rumors began to swirl. Villagers spoke of the city of the silent gods, a cursed place where anyone who entered would never return the same. Some claimed they had seen lights flickering in the ruins at night, as if the city itself was still alive. Then came the discovery that changed everything. In one of the main chambers, researchers uncovered a massive stone door, sealed tight. It had no hinges, no visible mechanism, and yet, the surface bore deep scorch marks, as if something had once tried to break out from the inside. Strangest of all were the carvings on the door, an unbroken spiral, winding inward toward a single eye. By now, whispers of a cover-up began to surface. Some team members allegedly quit the project after unexplainable incidents, tools vanishing overnight, strange humming sounds in the tunnels, sudden bouts of dizziness and nausea among the crew. But the dig continued. The deeper they went, the stranger it became. According to one leaked report, a tunnel beneath the city led to a series of underground chambers that seemed to defy known engineering for their time. One was lined entirely with a type of glassy black stone that absorbed light. No matter how bright their lamps, the darkness swallowed it whole. Another chamber contained dozens of stone sarcophagi, but every single one was empty. And then, the spiral door was opened. What lay beyond would lead to the most controversial chapter of the discovery, a hidden world beneath the sands, a place untouched for thousands of years, and perhaps, never meant to be seen by human eyes. Fade to black. The sound of distant rumbling. Next, we step inside the city, and into the shadows of its true purpose. Beneath the sands. Fade in, slow pan through torchlit tunnels, echoing footsteps. When the spiral door finally gave way, it didn't swing open, it slid silently into the wall, as if it had been waiting for someone, or something, to return. Beyond it lay a passage so narrow that the team had to move single file. The air was stale, heavy, and yet strangely warm, like a breath from the deep earth. The walls here were different. No longer the sand-weathered stone of the outer city, but smooth, almost polished, with strange metallic veins running through them. Under the dim torchlight, the veins shimmered faintly, pulsing, almost like they were alive. Some archaeologists whispered about ancient power conduits, a technology that shouldn't have existed thousands of years ago. But officially, nothing was said. The passage opened into a vast chamber. And there, standing silently in the darkness, were 12 colossal statues arranged in a perfect circle. Each one towered over the team, faces turned slightly inward, as if in eternal council. The craftsmanship was flawless, their eyes inlaid with a deep, red gemstone that seemed to catch and hold the torchlight in an unsettling way. At the center of the circle lay an enormous stone slab, carved with the same spiral Ni motif found on the door. The slab was surrounded by shallow grooves that formed an intricate, maze-like pattern. One of the archaeologists, Dr. Leclerc, noted that the grooves weren't decorative, they appeared to be channels for liquid. But, liquid for what? Before they could investigate further, something strange happened. A low hum filled the chamber. It wasn't coming from the walls or the floor, it was inside their heads. A vibration you could feel in your bones more than hear with your ears. Several team members felt dizzy, one collapsing outright. They left him at the entrance and pressed on. On the far side of the chamber, a smaller tunnel led deeper underground. Here, the walls were covered in carvings, scenes of a great exodus, people carrying glowing orbs, towering structures collapsing into the sea. But mixed with these were images that made no sense, human figures kneeling before tall beings with elongated heads, their hands raised as if in offering. And then they found the well. It was a perfectly round pit, about 10 meters across, its sides lined with that same black, light-absorbing stone. They dropped a flare inside. The light simply vanished. No reflection. No sound when it hit bottom. As if the well was swallowing more than just light, as if it was swallowing reality itself. Dr. Leclerc suggested it could be some kind of ritual site. Others thought it might be a ventilation shaft, or even a tomb. But one of the local workers refused to go near it, muttering in his own language. That is the mouth of the city. It eats what is not meant to live. By this point, tension in the team was running high. Some members wanted to stop the dig entirely, worried about structural collapse. Others pushed to keep going, sensing they were on the brink of uncovering something monumental. The lead archaeologist made the call, they would descend further. The last chamber they reached that day was unlike anything else in the ruins. It was smaller, intimate, lit by a strange glow that no one could source. In the center was a single stone pedestal, and upon it, a black cube no larger than a fist. It was perfectly smooth, unnervingly heavy for its size, and warm to the touch. There were no markings on it, except for one, faintly etched symbol, the spiral and the eye. The team decided to remove it for further study, sealing the chamber behind them as they left. But that night, everything changed. Back at camp, strange lights were seen over the dig site. Equipment failed. Radios went dead. And the next morning, half the crew refused to return. No one could have known, the black cube was not just an artifact. It was a key. And once it was taken, something deep beneath the sands had begun to stir. Fade to black, low rumble, distant echo of a heartbeat. Next, the truth about the lost city, and the secret it was built to hide. The final descent. We pressed deeper into the labyrinth, our footsteps echoing against stone walls carved with symbols that defied translation. The air was thick, almost tangible, and each breath carried the faint scent of burnt cedar. The passageway narrowed until we had to turn sideways to move forward, our flashlight beam slicing through the darkness in trembling arcs. Somewhere ahead, a rhythmic sound pulsed, slow, deliberate, like the beating of a colossal heart. When the corridor finally opened into a massive chamber, my eyes struggled to adjust. The walls glistened as though coated in a thin layer of gold dust, and at the center stood a colossal stone figure. It was humanoid in shape but exaggerated, its elongated arms stretching down to the floor, its face obscured beneath an ornate headdress. The statue's eyes were hollow, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that something inside them was watching. We circled the figure cautiously. At its base lay dozens of clay jars, each sealed with a wax-like resin. Out of curiosity, and against my better judgment, I pried one open. Inside was a tightly rolled parchment, brittle but intact. The writing was unlike anything I had seen, composed of curling symbols and intricate marks. As I unrolled it further, the chamber seemed to grow colder. From somewhere deep within the walls came the sound of stone grinding against stone, as if the city itself had woken from a long slumber. The ground trembled. Dust cascaded from the ceiling. My guide shouted something, but the roar of shifting rock drowned his voice. Then I saw it. Between the statue's feet, the floor had split open, revealing a staircase that spiraled downward into absolute blackness. Against every rational instinct, we descended. The deeper we went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. The light from our torches seemed weaker here, swallowed by the darkness. Strange shapes loomed on the walls, part mural, part moving shadow, and I could no longer tell where stone ended and the paintings began. The rhythmic beating we'd heard earlier returned, louder now, and with each pulse, the ground seemed to flex beneath our boots. When we reached the bottom, the space opened into a vast underground hall. In the center was a pool of water so still it reflected perfectly like a mirror. Above it, suspended in mid-air, was a faint, glowing sphere. It wasn't attached to anything. It simply hovered, spinning slowly, radiating a dim golden light. My guide whispered in a trembling voice that this was the heart of the city, and that it should never be disturbed. But something was wrong. The light inside the sphere began to flicker, faster and faster, and the still water below rippled as though stirred by unseen hands. The walls around us groaned, ancient stone shifting under immense strain. Then, without warning, a blinding flash erupted from the sphere, and in that instant, I was somewhere else. I saw visions, endless deserts swallowing entire civilizations, towers crumbling into dust, oceans rising to devour the land. I saw the stone figure standing over them all, unmoved, as if these disasters were part of a pattern far older than human history. And then, as quickly as it began, the vision vanished. When my senses returned, the chamber was silent. The sphere was gone. My guide was gone. Only the still water remained, reflecting my own pale, trembling face. I turned to leave, but the staircase had vanished, replaced by a solid wall of stone. Hours, or perhaps days, later, I emerged into the fading light of the desert, though I could not explain how. My equipment was gone, my clothes torn and coated in dust. The world above seemed different. Quieter. And to this day, I can't shake the feeling that the city isn't truly lost. It's waiting. Watching. Choosing the next person who will find it.